In the previous episode, we returned to Buenos Aires for the second time from Rosario and checked out the impressive Kirchner Cultural Centre. And our exploration of Buenos Aires will continue, and the building behind me, of course, you probably have recognized it. That's Casa Rosada, that's the Presidential Palace. And if you turn this way, you're gonna see some skyscrapers in the background, and that's Puerto Madero. That's where we're gonna go next. Today, this neighborhood might not best represent where 99% of BA residents, also known as Porteños, live. This area used to house the port, where the term Porteño, which means port people, came from. Puerto Madero today is one of the most expensive areas, if not the most expensive area to live in Buenos Aires, as reflected by its modern skylines and facilities that when you come and visit this neighborhood, you notice that it's certainly different from all other neighborhoods of Buenos Aires. This is the location of BA's original port, the one that helped Argentina to become a major economic power in the beginning of the 20th century, which attracted immigrants from all over the world. Because of this port, progressive ideals were brought over from overseas. Different cultures came to the shore of Rio de la Plata. Communities like La Boca formed, and new identities, cultures, and arts were born, most famously tango. These were some of the key moments that defined Argentina's history. So despite of Puerto Madero's modern look, yes, its historical importance is actually far more than what meets the eye. Yeah, I was just trying to relax a little bit, and all of a sudden it got really cold. At the same time, there are also a lot of people in Puerto Madero area as well. Since my hotel is really close to this area, I think tomorrow morning I will come back and explore more of Puerto Madero. Yeah, you probably have figured out the general rule in Argentina already, huh? So if you really want to avoid a crowd, just visit any place in the morning. I've seen this building somewhere before. Maybe in Winnipeg? I later found out that this was the Ministry of Defense building. Well, I guess I couldn't stay there overnight to see whether it was haunted like its doppelganger in Winnipeg. We'll talk more about how Puerto Madero ended up becoming the posh neighborhood you see now, when I made my return the next day, supposedly with less people, but more sunshine. Just before I call it a day, actually I paid a visit to the Palermo neighborhood for my last-ditch effort to do something that I wasn't able to do previously. Yeah, I went back to Don Julio, the famous steakhouse where Messi visited previously. Despite receiving tips from a Mexican couple on arriving early for possible standby tables, it turned out that I wasn't the only one there. Just look at the lineup. Alright folks, yeah, I gave up. I thought I was gonna give Don Julio another try, but the line was ridiculously long, so I gave up. Alright, I'm back at the bookstore, so maybe instead of eating at Don Julio's, I'll just take it easy, browse some books, and we're gonna end our night right here. Good morning everyone. Turns out it's another one of those beautiful days. Like I said yesterday, that for Buenos Aires, if you ever decide to walk around during early hours, well, the city is all yours. And when I say early hours, it's not like super duper early. Like right now it's 9 o'clock, but the bustling pedestrian streets from yesterday is all empty. Wow, this place really reminds me of the Falls Creek area, especially the Olympic Village section of Vancouver's seawall. So how did Puerto Madero become the way it is now? In 1925, a new port was built closer to the Retiro station, the railway and bus terminal where I arrived Buenos Aires from Rosario in the previous episode. This was to accommodate the ever-expanding business demands, and the new port continues to be the main port of today's Buenos Aires. The new port inaugurated in 1928, 1 year before the Great Depression, which officially ended Argentina's booming age. Following the construction of the new port and the eventual decline of the Argentinian economy, the old port became some sort of an urban wasteland, a place that was pretty much forgotten, despite multiple failed attempts to revitalize the area. Finally, in 1989, multiple levels of government worked together and completed one of the most successful urban renewal projects in the world. That is the Puerto Madero you see now. And now I realize that for this bridge, on one end that's Casa Rosada, so that's the Presidential Palace, and on the other end, well, I think it's a brewery. It must be really easy for the president of Argentina to grab a beer after work, huh? Today, Puerto Madero is home to some of Argentina's tallest skyscrapers and is also one of the most desirable and expensive housing markets in the country, like mentioned earlier. Once crossing Puente de la Mujer, we're in the Upper East Side of New York City. If you move this part of Puerto Madero to anywhere in the world, it would certainly be one of the nicest and most desirable neighborhoods over there, no matter if we're talking about New York, London, Toronto, or Sydney. I was also shocked to see a residential area like this one being right next to two neighborhoods that appear to be, well, the very exact opposite, Villa 31 and La Boca. Considering the historic ties of these three areas, it is very interesting to see that Puerto Madero, the old port that was previously abandoned, became the symbol of Argentina's ambitious revitalization plan to be, again, please allow me to quote in the style of Trump, Bolsonaro, and Milei, great again, as well as being the new face of Buenos Aires as a modern city. A few hundred years ago, people from all over the world were attracted by Argentina's wealth and came to the land of silver through this very port, with many of those who ended up staying in Buenos Aires became the Porteños. While the original port has changed so much, the Porteño identity continued to thrive and resonate with the residents of Buenos Aires, no matter whether they are from Puerto Madero, Barrio, Villa 31, La Polca, or Recoleta. So behind me is the Puerto Madero Ecological Reserve. Well, it's a huge area, and unfortunately I'm not gonna cover it today or during this adventure. And now, after seeing much of Buenos Aires, I'm very confident that I will be coming back to this amazing city, and especially to Argentina, because there's still a whole lot more we haven't seen, like Patagonia, like the wine regions, like the penguins, and the very southern tip of our world. Yeah, well, Antarctica is not quite our world because nobody really lives there. I'm talking about Ushuaia, which is the southernmost inhabited big city in the world. But we will be seeing more nature stuff later during this adventure. Yeah, it just looks like this huge ecological reserve is a huge marshland. Well, I'm just gonna take a break here, and afterwards we're gonna reconvene the second segment of our adventure here in Buenos Aires. We bid farewell to Puerto Madero and will explore another iconic BA neighborhood that we haven't visited yet. Oh, by the way, it was a Sunday on that day, so this particular barrio is supposed to be more vibrant than it was from Monday through Saturday. Anyways, what will we see? Follow me to the next episode.